All right. Welcome back, listener, to the Forest Brothers podcast. It's your boy, What's Chris, down back in the cut with my brother Samson and Kosi. What's up, brothers? What's up? Listener, it's good to have you here. In this episode, we'll be talking about Manchester City. Pepito and his boys. That's all we're talking about. Mr. Pepsi Cola himself. That's the topic of conversation in this particular episode, and we're gonna be talking about their poor run of form. Manchester City have not lost 4 games in a row in, I don't know, almost a decade. I feel like this is Pep's. I think the only other, some was saying this is Pep's first time losing 4 games in a row. Some was saying he did lose one in a row at Bayern in Germany. I don't know how true that is. I don't know what that run was, but maybe Mangoro Samson, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But it's very, very rare for a Pep coached team to lose 4 games in a row. Listener, today they lost to Brighton 2-1. And yeah, like it was just a very telling game. And so we kind of just want to talk about Manchester City right now and what is going on over there. We did talk about them in the previous pod we dropped, I believe last week. So if you want to hear more about that, do feel free to go back to a previous episode. We kind of have a deeper dive into Manchester City as well. But in this particular episode, we really want to focus on, like, we didn't expect them to have lost 4 games in a row at this point. So that's a topic of conversation. So yeah, I would love to throw it to the brother Samson and ask, did you expect them to actually lose today? Like, to be honest, Manchester City were chasing that game all day today. Like, they were chasing that game. And I'm sure a particular point of excitement for you was seeing Haaland lose his head. That brother is obviously so rattled. Like, even the goal he scored, he almost fucked that up. He almost didn't score it. Like, that should have been an easy Haaland goal. Just from the moment that Kovacic passed it, he should have buried that. But he hit it against the keeper, and he just got lucky with the rebound, and that's how I was able to score it. But even the rebound itself, he hit it. It hit the bar and the bar item, and then went into the goals. It wasn't like a clean goal, And then obviously towards the end of the game, he's there fighting with a Brighton defender. And, I know for you, last time people has been getting roasted for the stay humble like that he gave to Arteta. And it's looking like that the karma did not like that. The universe did not like him talking shit like that. And he's been suffering ever since. So anyway, I just want to hear, I want to throw to you, Samson, and kind of just, were you expecting that 2-1 loss to Brighton? And yeah, what are your overall impressions of the game? Over to you, Samson.
Yeah, I didn't expect Brighton to, like, if you asked me before the game, do I think Brighton was going to win? I would have said no. I was expecting a draw. I was expecting a high scoring draw. I thought both teams would score at least two. I was surprised Man City didn't get a second one. That being said, Man City missed a lot of chances too. They probably should have scored a second. But from Brighton's perspective, they were just missing so many chances, and like so many plays were breaking down just at the critical moment. They would play a cross, a through ball, and something would just break down, and like the final action just wouldn't happen. Then when the goal went in, oof, at that point I was like, yeah, this could get ugly for Man City, because right before the goal they were kind of just hanging on. Like, they were. I mean, even if you look at the first goal Brighton scored, like, there's, I think, 4 Man City defenders in the box. None of them can clear the ball. Like, I don't know what it is with this Manchester City defense at this point, but it seems like, I guess they're just not used to being attacked this much. They're not used to seeing the ball in the box. Because, I mean, come on, they play what? 3 centre-backs, sometimes 4 centre-backs. There's 3 centre-backs. None of you can clear this ball. Like, no one, like, it's the sort of goal that you wouldn't expect Man City to be conceding. It's very sloppy from their perspective. And then the second one, you just got outplayed. Brighton just cut through them like a knife. Just pass, through ball. Like, that's what Man City is used to doing to teams, but Brighton did it to them, that last goal. And yeah, I kind of saw that goal coming when Brighton got the first, because, yeah, Man City were just in this spell of, like, Brighton are attacking, Brighton mess up their attack, and Man City tried to like hold the ball. They weren't even trying to counter Brighton. They weren't even trying to like get into Brighton's box. They were just like trying to hold the ball and just basically, play keep ball and hopefully see the game out. But once that goal went in, like what do you do? Like if you're Pep, you have Haaland who's not really putting away his chances. You have a half fit Walker that you have to take off. De Bruyne, you have to bring on at some point just because your team needs something. Like that team didn't look like it had the necessary tools to just match Brighton's energy. Whatever Brighton were doing, like it just they couldn't handle it. So I think that's probably the most worrying thing. Like if I was a Man City fan, just the way in which we lost, we did not look convincing at all. We were beaten like with we can't even talk about mistakes or like referees. Nah, like they cooked us. That second goal, they cooked us. We were cooked. And now Pep has to figure out like, okay, do I make a lineup change? Do I start playing more kids? Do I like what do I do? Because it just wasn't good enough for Man City today. But yeah, what were your thoughts on the game, Encore?
Speaking of cooking, I think this guy Herzl, I don't know where he came from, this guy from Sao Paulo, but he's cooking this guy. Well, and it's not only today, but like when you look at Brighton are actually sixth, joint sixth. I think they're a point away from top four. So this unknown 31-year-old has been cooking this season, and I think maybe yesterday he was dishing. Yesterday he was dishing, and he dished to Manchester City. Because when you look at the season as a whole for Brighton, they beat Man United. Maybe that's not a big deal. They drew at Arsenal. I think they also beat Spurs. They've beaten Newcastle. They narrowly lost to Liverpool last week, and this week they beat City. So there's been something that's been brewing there, and for them, I think it was a coming of age moment for the manager and the players. I think they did show that they're able to do something this season. I think they're going to perform well. They do have some quality players. I don't think they have 100 million players anymore, but who they have there is Brighton's level, and I think the style of play suits them. But when we come back to the topic at hand, which is Manchester City, they are they're in crisis. They are in crisis. I think they should be sounding the alarms there at the Etihad, because when we look at their play yesterday, it was just absolutely terrible. Like that guy Simpson, I'm not gonna say his last name, his other name at the back. He just wasn't it. Like that guy was not it. And then there was young Rico Lewis, who's done well this season at left back. Not it's not it. There's no way we're winning a championship with that guy, and I don't think Edison this season. I think his mind is still thinking about all the money he was going to make in Saudi. Like he's not committed. You can see that guy. And one other thing, I think we now see the Ballon d'Or size shaped hole in their midfield. Kovacic ain't no CDM. He's not going to protect no back four. Like it was just a freeway for Brighton, letting people like Matt O'Reilly score, Matt O'Reilly, whatever his name is, on debut. No one's heard of this guy. He's coming on, he's scoring, he's celebrating. It's a family fun day there down at the Brighton Community Stadium. So Manchester City, it's getting dire. They need to look at themselves in the mirror this international break. I hear that Pep, the last two times he's renewed the contract, he's renewed it in November. Around this time during this international break. I think this time he needs to certainly do something similar. They need to have a deeper conversation at the club, because these results just aren't it. Because if this continues, they could find themselves sitting in fifth. It's so tight at the top, and I don't know if it's a squad issue or the quality is not there or the motivation is not there. I know I previously said they turn it on like in January or February, but this time I just don't see it. Like the players look like age is either catching up with them and they need to go to an old age home, or the quality is just not there, or they just don't have the motivation. Like I do understand when you do win 6 league titles in the last however many years, in the last 7 years, you don't get as motivated anymore. And when you look at them now, they're like they're not really that bothered. But I do want to touch on the stay humble thing. I think that when I actually watched it the first time, I found it to be very hilarious. Like it was very funny with Haaland. But now when I look back and since that has happened, like I think he scored one or two goals, and he just looks like absolute. You know what I mean? But honestly, Man City, I think they need a plan of regroup this upcoming international break to see where they go from here because the teams below them are not stopping. Chelsea is coming, Arsenal is coming, even Brighton and New Nottingham Forest are coming. So and Fulham. So there's a lot going on. Manchester United is not coming, just to be clear. So there's just a lot going on there, and they need to get it together because, as we've seen, it's a dire situation.
No, it is a dire situation, and I was gonna say, I think we really do need to have a Manchester City clinic. I think that's what we need, especially in the sense that the next game is Tottenham, and we beat them 2 weeks ago, last week. Although I do feel like I don't think we're gonna beat them again. To be honest, we might though, because we are gonna have a Spurs episode. We're also having a Spurs clinic. So if by the time this episode drops, there's a Spurs clinic as well coming. So look out for that, listener. Anyways, Spurs is not having the best run. The thing is with Spurs, inconsistency. That's the word that describes us this season. We can be hot and we can be very cold. So who knows how we turn up that day? But I don't know if we beat City. Anyway, but it'll be a tough game nonetheless. And then they play Liverpool, and that's a must-win game for Pep. That game right there on the 29th of November is a must-win game for the boy Pepito, because if they lose to Liverpool at that point, I think they go like 9 points behind. So yeah, man, depending on if they beat Tottenham and if Liverpool wins their game, and then it can get really dicey at that point. So and then they play Nottingham Forest right after Liverpool. We talked about this last week. So the next three games for Manchester City, Pep needs to really figure this shit out. So I think we should use this time in the pod to really talk about what could Pep do to make sure that he gets a W in the next three games. Obviously, not against Spurs. What should Pep do that he gets a W against Liverpool and Nottingham Forest? Because we have to win that game. Anyway, what we need to talk about, because this is the first time that I've watched Manchester City, and I don't know how they're gonna win the game. Last season, even they're having a terrible game, you can kind of what they gotta do to win the game. But this time around, Savinho is way too selfish. Foden will never really pass the ball like that. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, I think we really do need to have more of just what should Pep do, guys? And yeah, in case you're hearing all the fire, trucks outside, this city, hey man. Anyway, let me hand it over I'll go back to Samson. So, talking about Manchester City, what's to you the number one thing that you would say you need to do this? Over to you, Samson.
My guy, Batman's coming, bro. I don't know what you did, but they're coming for you. Pep, yeah, this is a troubling time for Pep. And I'm surprised you didn't even mention he's about to lose his title as best baldy in the league. He needs to beat Slot, because Slot's coming for his position. He's fast becoming the best baldy around. Man City, I guess this has always been the criticism you have of the kind of manager that Pep is. These system managers, these philosophy managers who have a very specific playing style, and we're going to pass out from the back. We're going to have a sweeper keeper. We're going to have an inverting fullback, or we're going to have two tens, whatever it is. Who have these very specific, rigid systems that they play. When things don't go right, they often go spectacularly bad. Now, point to another manager who's actually Pep's mentor, Bielsa. Dear listener, if you know anything about Bielsa, you know that he plays very high tempo, high energy, high possession football. But when it sucks, he can get your team relegated. He can get your team bankrupt. Like that's how bad it, like it's so bad. And that's what Man City are going through, where it's like nothing is working. Like all the things that just happen for them, it's just not working. And defensively they're a mess. And like other managers to change it usually would like just go to another system. Oh, we play 4-2-3. Oh, let's just go. Let's do 4-4-2. We'll go direct. Man City don't do that. Pep doesn't do that. Pep doesn't go direct. Pep doesn't just switch it up. You know, he does plan A no matter what. If the players aren't working in plan A, he brings in new players. And he's always had this luxury of like, hey, any given summer he can sign 2 or 3 of the best players in the world because he's worked for these big clubs who have these massive budgets, can just bring in anyone they want. Right now at Man City, I feel like he low-key hasn't had that luxury ever since they signed Haaland. You know, like you look at the players they brought in, like sure, Savinho's okay, you know, Doku, yeah, you know, but
Brought back Gundogan, which is,
Gundogan, you know,
I mean, I don't know why, but hey.
it's respectable, I guess. You know, he was free. You know, it's a good move. But when Pep has needed something to change, you know, like he's sensed something is slowed down, something like he needs a new energy in the team. He's always been able to go and bring a new player in, and that re-energizes the squad. They haven't done that, and they haven't felt that re-energizing feeling. And the only options they have are young players. I don't know if he's brave enough to go to is it McAtee or I think it's that's one of the midfielders they have. I don't know if he's brave enough to just say, "Hey, Foden, you're not doing it for me. McAtee, here's your chance." Or there's a young forward he played against Spurs. Just go 2 up top with Haaland like he did with Alvarez. Is he brave enough to do that? I don't know. I don't like. I really don't know if Pep is equipped to handle this specific situation. I don't know if he's going to change or if he's just going to scream at his players until they perform. Because I honestly, I don't know. How do you stick with the same system if it's just not working? I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, what do you think, Mangoro?
Wait, before we get to Mangoro, I've got a crazy conspiracy theory, and I need you guys to hear me out on this. What if Manchester City right now, because 112 charges are coming January. What if right now they were like, all right, guys, we need to look as unserious as possible so we can get some heat off of us so that people stop baying for our blood with this 112. If we look bad enough, if you know, because I feel like right now, if Man City, for example, winning all their games still, banging hat tricks, and they were number one, there's a lot more. Okay, Man City are gonna do it again this season. They're gonna win the league again. Really, to look at these 112 charges, like we can't let you win a 4-peat, a 5-peat. We can't let you win 5 Premier League titles in a row. So when Haaland was banging those hat tricks in the beginning of the season, they're like, "Hey, Haaland, calm down, my brother. Calm down. You're making us. This is you're flying too close to the sun now, buddy. Like, so I don't know. So that could be a conspiracy theory. I don't know. I feel like there might be some merit to it. Maybe not. Like Man City right now just kind of want to fly under the radar, not win too many games. You know, fly that maybe number 4. Maybe they'll get to number 5 by January, just so that people are like, okay, this league is not competitive again. It's not clear if Man City will win it, so let's just lay off them. Let's just lay off of them. Maybe Liverpool win. Like maybe at that point Liverpool will be like 9 points ahead, and they're like, okay, it's tough for Man City. No, I don't know. It just hit me. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can talk about that and whether you think that is completely, you know, malarkey or if there's actually some merit to that conspiracy theory.
So let me just get this straight. Are you suggesting that Pep pulled Haaland to the side and asked him to stay humble? Is that what you're saying?
Ironic, right?
Very ironic.
Yeah.
Look, the 115 charges, you can go the other way with it. You can say that because they had a case. They met in court, I think, in March or April, and you could make the argument, and they pushed it because I think Man City were not being forthcoming with delivering documents, so the judge kept pushing the date forward. So you could go the other way and just say, hey, maybe the Premier League has not been going so hard because Man City has been winning, and now that they're losing, they're looking a little vulnerable. Now it's time because it's not in the Premier League's best interest to, like, when they've just three-peated or four-peated, to then be like, hey, I know this is the best team in the world, but, this is our pride and jewel, but we've been letting them cheat for 10 years. And, like, it's a bad look, because it really, this is also, as much as this is on Man City cheating, like, this is on the Premier League. This makes the league look bad. So that's what I would say to that conspiracy theory. But yeah, I don't know what Mangoro thinks about all this.
It's simple. It's a conspiracy theory. It'll stay a conspiracy theory. I don't know if any. I don't think any of those things are happening. I think one thing happening at Man City that maybe they need to change is they're not, as Samson mentioned, they're not freshening it up in terms of the players. Like, give these young players a chance because it's not that Man City. It's literally an old age home now. Like, when we go through the squad, the number of players approaching 30 or at 30 now, it's a large majority of their squad because we run through the squad real quick here. All their goalkeepers above 30. Akanji, Ake, Diaz approaching 30. Stones is above 30. Kyle Walker's like 35. De Bruyne above 30. Gundogan above 30. Kovacic approaching 30. Rodri, I think he's still fine. Bernardo is 30. And they sold their other promising squad players who are still young, who at this point they're supposed to be coming into the fray and delivering for Manchester City's. Your Cole Palmers, Julian Alvarez, and a few others that they've sold on, and now they could be some players of note that they could be utilizing in this team because they need a squad. Like, when you think about it, some of these Manchester City players have been there from the time they won the first league title, and they're still there today. Still there today. Like, age is catching up with them. They're like, cause like, and then the other thing is that these players, if they're not fit or they're not ready, like the first team players, give these kids a chance. You could unearth the next Cole Palmer or Oscar Bob or James McAtee, like through your youth academy. You speak a lot about the youth academy players. Give these kids a chance. Like, see them in the first team, because if you keep on just regurgitating the same players every week that are half fit, it alienates your youth academy players, and it also affects the player welfare of your first team players. I know player welfare has been a huge discussion amongst players, interestingly enough, led by Rodri, a Man City player. So there are aspects where I'm saying, like, change it up a bit. Like, the older guys, like, take them out, bring in some of these new blood. Like, we don't know them. They could be absolutely garbage. I hope so. But, like, but give them a chance. Give them a chance because you have nothing to lose. If you don't have personnel, give, put this personnel that is 100% fit. It may not be the greatest, but it'll help you through these difficult periods. Because in a chance, because like, you have to also think about it. It's a long term exercise. Would you want to play your half fit players now, and then like throughout like the November December period, and then still lose games, and then they get injured because they have fit or they're just not okay to play, and you suffer the rest of the season? Or would you want to give these new hungry kids a chance? Fine, you lose games here in the November December period, but your first team players are fully recovering and they're going to be there ready in the home stretch of the Premier League title race. So it's like striking that balance between the two. Like, and I think it's something that he has to do, because if he continues at this rate, us as Chelsea supporters and as Spurs supporters and as Arsenal supporters, we will definitely be rooting to see Kevin De Bruyne 10% fit every week. We'll be there posting there every week there on Elon Musk's platform saying we want to see Kevin De Bruyne this week. We want to see Bernardo Silva. We want to see an injured John Stones. We want to see Rodri against Spurs next week. Those are the things we're going to be asking for. Even though he has an ACL, we'll be asking for him because it just seems like you only trust those players, and it's time that trust expands out to these younger players. Give them a chance. Because if he continues at this rate, these players by November, end of November, early December, they were going to be done. They're going to be out, like for the rest of the season. And then now they're going to let that Baldy take the league, and that would be an absolute disgrace. Like if they let Liverpool win this league title, that would be an absolute disgrace. They're letting managers from Feyenoord, from the Eredivisie, win the Premier League in their first season. That would be absolutely disgraceful. But that's just my opinion.
That brother Klopp, man, would be turning in his bed. Like he'd be like, "Where was this Man City when I was? Come on, man! Like, come on!" Like, I'm sure he's I'm sure he's not happy about this. But the only silver lining though for Man City is the fact that once they pass this rough patch that they're in, like the next few games, like after December, like in January, for example, their next games are actually not too bad. Like if I look at their first game in January, they are playing actually at the end of December they're playing Leicester and then they play West Ham, then Brentford, then Ipswich on the 18th of Jan. So there's like a 4 or 5 game period where like things do get a little better for them. Like that's and then obviously there's Chelsea Arsenal in between there, like end of Jan, beginning of Feb. So but then after that, well then Newcastle, then Liverpool, then Spurs again. Hey man, it's Pep. I'm sorry, but I think things start turning forward like March. I think by March, so it could happen that they just have to hold on for now, and then by March, the first game in March. I mean, Forest. I don't know how they'll be at that point, and then they play Brighton again. But I mean, towards the end, they're not facing as many big teams. So maybe that's the time when we'll see Pep and his boys win 11 games in a row, and then they win the league by a goal difference or 1 goal or 1 point. And we'll be back here again next season talking about Manchester City. That's yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's Pep has a lot to do here, and I feel like this is the time we really get to see whether Pep. I mean, we all know he's a genius, but this is the time for him to really flex his bold muscle, and this is the time. If he makes it out of this and still wins the league, hey man, I really don't think there's anything else anybody can say except that is the greatest manager in the world ever and forever and forever and forever. That's the GOAT. And so of which I feel like he's already that. So but anyway, over to you, Samson.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I really do hope Pep tries something different because I think it's been as much as Haaland has scored so many goals for Man City. I think it's been an absolute crime that, and I know a few other fans will relate to this. United fans might relate to this. Haaland is a true number 9. He's a poacher. He's always trying to get in behind. The amount of times he will make that run between the two center backs and the ball will just not come. Why? Yes, Foden doesn't like passing to him. We know this. But also, the players, that's not how they play. They don't play that direct pass. Man City does not play that ball. I think the goal they scored with Kovacic assisting, it was because it was a turnover. Like Brighton were building up, and it was a clear pass. Like you have to make that pass because why pass it sideways when you have a guy through on goal, right? But that run that Haaland made, he makes that like 10, 20 times a game, and the ball might come to him once. Pep, if you're listening to this pod, if you want to change things, that's the simplest way to change things. Tell De Bruyne, tell Bernardo Silva, hey, you see that big, tall man running over there? Give him the ball. Just hit it to him. That's what Haaland wants. That's what defenders don't want. That's the simplest way you can improve this team's fortunes. Just hit people in the mouth with the biggest hammer in the league. Like, no one wants to face this man. and you're playing this intricate football, which is great when it works, but when it's not working, you have the ultimate get out of jail free card. He's 6'4" and he's faster than most people. Hit the ball to him. I mean, what are we doing, bro? Seriously, what are we doing? That's all I have to say.
It is all quite simple, to be honest, because yeah, he is fighting some demons. I mentioned Salvinho will never pass that ball. Ford will not pass that ball. Doku will not pass that ball. The only person who might actually pass that ball is Grealish, and I think Grealish is injured. So hey man, Pep, it's tough. Anyway, listener, I think that's a little good clinic there in Manchester City. Hopefully, we'll not be back here again. I don't think we will, but if they lose to Spurs, best believe I'll be here tooting my horn. But I don't know if we're gonna win that. Anyway, listener, thank you so much for hanging out with the Forest Brothers podcast. I think that's a pretty good analysis of Manchester City right now and where they are and what we hope to see from them. The international break could not have come at a better time for Pep and his boys. I think that they need the rest. They need the time to focus and reshape, and they're back in the fire after that. So hey, let's hope for the best. We can't let Liverpool win the league. I'm sorry. But, Liverpool over Arsenal. I guess I won't be too mad about that. It's not Klopp anymore. So, Slot seems like a decent guy. He doesn't seem cocky. If Liverpool win it this time, I don't think it'll hurt as much. So, it's fine. Anyway, that's it from me, folks. I'll hand it over to the boy Mangoro and then over to you, Samson, to close it out. So, over to you, Mangoro.
Man City, continue in these ways. We hope, as Chelsea supporters, you are doing well. There's clear progress we're seeing. This is wonderful progress. We are ready to leapfrog you in the table. Another spot for us in the Champions League. Hopefully, after the international break, you continue playing these injured players and you continue in this vein of form, I would hope. So, all in all, listener, be sure to tune into the Forest Brothers podcast as we bring you more content. We love being here. We love expressing our opinions, giving you all the reality. As always, be sure to do the right thing. When the right thing is, of course, like, comment, subscribe. And over to you, Mr. Sampson.
Yeah, dear listener, once again, thank you for hanging with the Forest Brothers podcast. It's always a great time here with the brothers. Mutsa Mangoro, great hanging out with you guys. And yeah, Pep, please keep going. Man City fans, you have a brand new wonder kid. His name is Simpson. Like my brother Mangoro will not say his other name because I don't think we're allowed to on this platform. It's not that kind of site. can't say anything. But yeah, you guys, play the youngsters, man. Play them. Who knows? Maybe you get lucky twice. Maybe there's another Foden in there. Or maybe that brother Simpson plays like he's named, but I don't know. Anyways, catch you on the next one, dear listener. Peace out.
I don't know why they're not trying to say his name. Simpson Poussey, guys. That's his name. Simpson Poussey. We're not lying. That's his actual name. If you've watched Orange is the New Black, that's basically what his last name is, Poussey. So I believe that's his name. So go check it if you. I don't know why he goes. Just drop that and just call yourself Simpson, man. Just I don't know why you added that in, but hey, maybe he wants to be different. So anyway, with that, thank you so much, listener, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.